so that would be my suggestion if there are people out there, and I'm sure there are, who are dying in their marriage maybe or in their career, and they don't have the courage to move forward or to change or to do anything. I would suggest that make that commitment to themselves, to take that time each day to go within and to connect. And they will see changes in their life, and they will get the courage to move forward, because it does take tremendous amount of courage to, well, as we said, to change.
Absolutely, courage and faith for sure. Well, you know, I think that the advice you're giving there is like really fits 100% of the population. The most important thing I believe we can do is exactly what you said: is to sit, go within, and find that great reality within, that God is not out there somewhere.
Right.
The God of my understanding is in, you know, it's in everything, but the real connection is on an inner level. And,
right.
And it comes out from there. Hey, by the way, you had you've got a chapter on soulmates, and you quoted a prayer in there. Have you ever found out who? I know you tried to give credit to the author. Did you ever find out?
I never did.
Well,
No.
I have that for you. It's Saint Anthony of Padua, Padua.
Really?
Yes, and the name of the prayer is "Have you found out?" Or no, I'm sorry. The name of the prayer is "Be satisfied with me."
Saint Anthony Padua?
Of Padua.
Okay, and the prayer is?
And the name of the prayer is "Be satisfied with me."
Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You've got a whole chapter on soulmates. I know that is of great interest to a big share of our audience. So I'd like to talk about that for a bit. Have you found your soulmate yet? You mentioned that you were single when you stepped out a couple of years ago.
Right. No, I have not.
However,
I know that he's there, and I know that we're connected by an invisible thread.
Yes.
And I just believe, and I visualize, and I feel what it's like to be in that relationship. And I tried for so long, and I think that I have in the book, really trying to make things happen. And there's nothing wrong with doing the Match.com, and that didn't work for me. And for me, God is saying that He will bring my soulmate to me, and I don't have to do anything other than show up. You
right.
know, I don't sit in my house. I'm living my life. I'm enjoying my life. I dance. I really enjoy my life, and I'm trusting, and that's the key. I'm trusting that God will bring us together in God's time, not my time.
Well, you know, one of that really brings up an important thing, and that is, you know, sometimes I think we have vision boards and we visualize what we want, and I believe in that. I do all of that kind of thing myself, but at the same time, I wonder if maybe our picture of who that ought to be or what it ought to be on some level makes us a bit unwilling, and we don't allow, and that will can keep people blocked out who could be, you know, the perfect companion for us. And sometimes I just think the picture that we get is we need to be specific, but yet at the same time we can't be too specific, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
You know what? I totally agree with you, because, you know, everything that I've read is about, you know, being specific what you want, writing it down, and I've done all that.
Sure.
And it was just recently, a couple of days ago, in fact, that I surrendered what he's going to look like, how much he's going to make, how tall he is, all the things.
Isn't that interesting that you just did that a couple days ago?
I just did that 2 days ago. I surrendered it all, and I said, just let my heart be open, because you know who the right person is. And yeah, so I felt that was really movement for me to do that.
Yeah, I found that I am, you know, like I am much better off, much happier, much more peaceful when I'm in the will of God as I understand God. When I'm in George's will, boy, sometimes I can, you know, it can get pretty crazy in there. So So I know today I've had enough experience being in my own will and some of it that didn't work that I really prefer God. God really seems to have a bigger, better idea than what I. So you know what? When you're talking about prayer here and what we ask for, Pat, sometimes I don't know that I know the right thing to ask for. You know, it's like I've had things happen in my life that I would never have asked for, that have turned out to be better than some of the best things I would have wished for. And it's like, so I try to leave room for even in that area to allow, you know.
That's the key, to allow.
Yeah. And that's not always easy, though, is it? We're just born to be controllers, aren't we?
We like control. Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's scary sometimes when I'm not in control, and I have to keep letting go of my control. It's really about surrendering on a daily basis, all during the day.
Oh, yeah, on a moment-to-moment basis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you think about it, why do we feel that insecurity? Gosh, if you just extrapolate, you know, from where we're at now to the country, to the state we live in, to the country we live in, to the world we live in, to the universe, and then, you know, there are millions of other universes. No wonder we get a little bit insecure. We're pretty insignificant in comparison size-wise, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty crazy. So let me ask you another tough question. For me, I've done like you a lot of self work and really have worked at the connection and all of that. But you know what? That doesn't keep me totally out of fear. You know, for the most part, it does. Have you got one fear that really is that you could say, hey, this is my biggest fear? Have you worked through all of that, or is there one hanging in the corner there somewhere?
Well, you know, I've read books about, you know, the greatest fear is being successful. I don't know if that's my greatest fear.
Right.
Do I still get afraid? I do. You know, I
Sure.
still get afraid, and yet I do whatever it is that's in front of me. I do it afraid, you know. And one of the things that I've learned, and I'm sure you have, is to do when I'm feeling afraid or anxious, is do the next right thing.
Yes.
And that works for me. You know, when people say to me, you know, how you doing, Pat? And what I say is I'm showing up. You know, I'm showing up every day and allowing miracles to find me. And
well, you must be a great coach, because you know what I'm hearing from you is real, it's truthful, it's honest, and brave. Quite honestly, you know, I think my biggest fear is my false pride and ego. I think, you know, my job as a human being is to try and find my way to as much humility as I can get to, and compassion. That's not an easy job, is it?
It's not an easy job, no.
Yeah. So, okay, let's don't stay on the on the topic of fear, because you've got a lot of really fun things in your book. You got some great stories in there, Pat. And
thank you.
You know, and for a first book, you've done a tremendously good job here. I really recommend that our audience think about going and picking up a copy.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your God blouse.
I love that story.
That's pretty interesting.
That's so powerful. That was a story. My ex-husband and I, we had 4 children under the age of 10, and it was a time when he was unemployed, and he was out of work for a whole year. We had to just apply to food stamps, so it was a really difficult time in our lives. And I was waiting to pick up the children from school one day, and I had some extra time to kill, so I went to the local boutique and walked in and noticed in the back of the store a clearance sign. And I love sales, so I walked back and I was just looking through the clothes, and I found this blouse that I fell in love with, and it was $10. I had $10 in my pocket, but that was for milk and bread on the way home. So as I was reluctantly putting that blouse back, I heard that small, still voice of God, and it said, "Buy it, and I will provide." And I remember standing there and kind of looking up and saying, God, is that you or is that me? Because, sure, I was hoping it was God, but I wasn't sure. But
Sure.
as I stood there and just was quiet, I trusted and I listened. I was used to listening to that voice. So I took the $10 and I bought the blouse and picked up the kids and didn't say anything to them. And, of course, I didn't buy milk and bread. And as I went in the house, I grabbed the mail. And there was a envelope in there, and it just said Pat on it. And I said, oh, I wonder who this could be. And I opened it up. And in it was a card. And it said, to Pat from the son of a carpenter. And there was a $10 bill in it.
Huh.
Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah, it's very powerful. I had a fairly similar kind of experience, so I know the reality of that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was, I still, George, that was 25 years ago, and I still have the blouse. I do not have the card, and I don't know whatever happened to the card, but I have the blouse, and I just love to tell that story because it's so powerful about how much God loves us. And by listening to that small voice, and we all have that small voice, call it intuition. We all have it, but oftentimes we don't pay attention. We say, oh, that's just me, and we don't pay attention.
Right.
And the person that sent that card to me and that $10 bill, listen to God, and if they hadn't listened, that story wouldn't have happened.
It couldn't have happened, could it? Could not have happened. I had a similar experience out in San Diego. I was at a really desperate time in my life, and I was on. I'd walked up. Like you, I like sales, and I really like books. And I was in front of the library, and they were having a book sale on the sidewalk, and there was this little red book that I would never have really picked up, and especially after I read the title, it said "The Greatest Thing in the World." I thought, oh, sure, yeah, right. What's this got to be? I opened the book up, and it said, to George in your time of need.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, same. So I really share the feelings that went on when you found that $10 bill. Yeah, it's very powerful. And it was just about 25 years ago, too. It's absolutely stayed with me.
So God was really working 25 years ago.
Yeah, actually closer to 30. I've been following this still small voice for about 27, 28 years now.
And how did that happen for you? How did you start following?
Well, I managed to crash and burn. I was in the real estate business. I had a very large real estate company, and I was really following that inner drive to try and find self-esteem through money, power, and prestige. Mm-hmm. And I through drugs and alcohol, I crashed and burned. And as a matter of fact, it'll be October, it'll be 28 years ago. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey, even during the tough times. It's been pretty amazing.
Yes.
So. Pat, you have your friends call you a particular name, which I thought was kind of interesting. I relate to. You're the yard sale queen.
I am.
Yeah. Tell me how did you get that little moniker?
Well, it came out of desperation. I started to go to yard sales when my ex-husband was out of work.
Right.
And I needed things for the children. 4 children under 10, they needed sneakers, they needed school things. So I started to go to yard sales, and I would always pray when I got in the car, pray for what I needed, and it would show up. And it was just such a high because I knew it was an answer to prayer.
Sure.
So now people, friends say to me, Pat, will you look for this at a yard sale? Just recently, a friend of mine at church asked me if I would look for a booster seat for her 7-year-old son, and she showed me exactly what she wanted, and I said, well, how much do you want to pay? And she said $2. I said, okay. So just last weekend I went to the yard sale, and I'm walking around, and there's a little booster, just what she wanted, and I said, well, how much? And they said $3. I said, well, will you take 2? And they said, sure. So she was thrilled when I brought it to church on Sunday.